Hello, you hottie hot hotties, and welcome to Wild&T with Tawny.
Tara.
Teddy.
And Mom.
Welcome back to another episode of Wild&T. We're going to kick off with a segment of Tara Rocks Your World.
All right, today is a little bit of a somber topic just because it just irks me. It doesn't rock me, it irks me. So recently, I think it was in April sometime, there were two or three guys who were captured on video destroying an ancient rock formation at Lake Mead. So Lake Mead borders Nevada and Arizona, and they have some beautiful red rock formations in that area, and where they're like layered, sort of layered on top, like layers on top of each other that are just formed by the wind. And these guys climbed up, and they were not like physically fit people whatsoever. They climbed up to these rocks and literally just start pushing like layers of the rock off of the formation.
What?
And it's so insane to me. And it's like protected area that how many times people just choose to destroy protected parts of the earth for no reason. Like, this isn't just like picking up a pebble and throwing it off a cliff. No, they're literally just like pushing like sheets of this rock that took millions of years to form and acting like they're having a good old time. I mean, luckily it was recorded, so they definitely got in trouble. But I just want to tell people, just a PSA, like, don't mess around with that crap. You can collect a rock, you can take a small pebble and throw it. That's fine. But to go out of your way to hike up a mountain or formation and then try to do like mass destruction on it, especially because there are people who hike around there. You can also hit someone with a very large boulder. But also just like, what is in these people's mind? I don't understand. And it makes me so mad. So mad. These grown men.
How grown were they, though? Like, really?
They were probably, based on the video, I don't know. They look like they could be like 30s, 40s. That's how grown they were.
What's the purpose? I just don't understand why people think that they have the entitlement to do these kinds of things. I mean, it's like, people who were writing their names on the Coliseum, and you're just what makes you think that that's okay? I mean, this isn't your world. Like, this belongs to not you. You're here temporarily. There's a lot of other people you have to share it with, and you think that you have the right to just go destroy these beautiful things.
Yeah, especially when it's like public land. It's not your own land. I remember there's this story about some years ago about a scout troop who destroyed dinosaur footprints in Vernal and threw it into the lake that was there. They literally just picked up these slabs that had dinosaur footprints on it and threw it into the water.
This is why we don't let our intrusive thoughts out.
There's a special place in you know where for people who do this.
In the lake.
In the core of the earth. The molten lava core.
Like, we all have those intrusive thoughts, for sure. Maybe not the same ones, but we all have them. It's just important to filter which ones to act on and which ones to just very deep down into, what if.
Absolutely.
We have like AI and simulations now. Just like do it on there. Don't do it in real life. You can get your kicks elsewhere. So yeah, that's just a PSA in Tara's Rock Your World today.
Well, thank you for that. We're gonna go ahead and pivot. Instead of talking about the destruction of things, we're gonna talk about the creation of things with our mother who helped create us. Basically,
It's the
Incubate
majority
us
of
inside
jobs,
of
yeah.
her for. Welcome, Mom.
Thank you.
And happy Mother's Day
Happy
to you.
Mother's Day.
For our Mother's Day segment.
Thank
you.
Mama, mommy, mom, mother.
Yep, there it was. I'm right here.
The flashbacks. Oh, no.
And if all else fails, Christina.
Yeah, you had many years of us driving you crazy as a mom. But before we delve into the motherhood side of your life, let's talk about your background and where you're from and how you got to this point.
Well, I was born in Colorado in Denver area, and then I grew up a little bit in the eastern part of Colorado. We lived out there in the Great Plains with the flowing yellow wheat and cornfields and Colorado skies. We had Colorado skies here yesterday. Again, it was beautiful. Yes, the big fluffy clouds. And then we moved western part of Colorado in Grand Junction. And that's where I say I grew up because I was there from the time I was 10 years old until I got married. And it's beautiful, surrounded by mountains and just a gorgeous area to grow up in.
That's really cool.
One of my favorite stories that you tell from in Colorado when you were in Colorado is how during the winter you guys would put the hose on in the grass and so that it would freeze overnight and then the next day you could ice skate on the grass.
Yep. I say especially in the eastern part of Colorado, we did that all the time. We would just run the water on our backyard and we all had our own ice skates. And the next day we would put our ice skates on and go outside and ice skate. And yep, we had many crashes and we loved it. But growing up, I never thought about indoor ice skating because we were always ice skating on lakes or canals that were frozen over. Or like I said, the backyard if it was cold enough. But when I moved to California and I was over a youth group, they're like, in the middle of summer, let's go ice skating. And I didn't understand. What?
Ow.
First experience ice skating inside. And it was beautiful because it was boiling hot outside and you're inside this lovely ice skating rink. So I have only ice skated in the summertime in California. Only in the summertime.
Definitely knowing that you could ice skate inside and the stories of like, oh, we would just let it freeze. And you're like, growing up in California, I was like, yeah, sounds like I don't need to be in Colorado ever. Sounds cool. You can just ice skate inside any time of the year instead.
That's funny.
Yeah, that was something we did. And then, especially in the eastern part of Colorado also, we would get blizzards often and the snow got really deep. And, we had, one time I think I was about second grade and the bus was coming to pick us up and it was really cold.
I love this story.
This is one of my favorite stories also. This is the one that I think of, yeah.
And Mom handed me my lunch money and it was like a couple of dimes and a nickel. And the bus pulled up to the end of our yard and I went running out there to the bus and dropped one of my dimes on the sidewalk and I turned around to get it and it was already frozen to the sidewalk and I couldn't get my dime. I was so distraught. Yeah, like you're scratching it up. And so Mom grabbed another one and ran it out to me and then I made the bus. So yeah, it was cold. And we loved it. We played in the snow all the time, of course.
Yeah, this is where those stories come from. I walked to school uphill both ways in the snow.
In the snow.
Riding a chicken.
I
don't know where that one came from.
I think only one time where we lived, because we did move a lot, but only one time where we lived, we were actually able to walk to school. Otherwise, we always lived far. And so we rode the bus all the time.
Was that when Grandpa told you to go home if that kid wouldn't stop kicking your chair?
Yes, we lived close enough to walk that time. I think it's the first time that my dad realized that,
You would stand up for yourself?
yes, that I would stand up for myself, or that I did exactly what my dad told me to do, because I trusted my dad that he knew what he was talking about. And Dad, you guys all know Grandpa, and he liked to joke around, and he liked to challenge people and things that he thought would be funny later, right? And maybe if you did it, it wasn't funny, but he thought it was funny. So yeah, I was at school, and it was probably about first grade, and this boy sat behind me and he would kick either my chair or if my feet were there. And so I went and told the teacher, he keeps kicking me. And she's like, okay, I'll tell him. So, of course, stop kicking her. And then he kept doing it. So I went home and told my dad. And my dad said, tell the teacher 2 times, but then on the 3rd time, if he keeps doing it on the 3rd time, just, nicely put your books away, grab your coat, and walk home. And I was like, okay. And so the next day, okay, I'll do what Dad says.
Reasonable enough, yeah.
Well, the next day, the boy kicked my chair, and I asked him to stop, told the teacher. She's like, stop. Told her again, stop. And then 3rd time, he was kicking my chair. So I got up and I put my books away, and I grabbed my coat, and I walked out of the classroom. And I remember the teacher
Like, make eye contact with him as you were leaving, like the I'm out.
Dad's coming. And the teacher is, where are you going? I said, I'm going home. And I left. And I walked home. And then, of course, later, my dad gets a call, and he's all apologetic to the teacher. He's like, I didn't think she would do it. I'm so sorry. But the next day, the little boy wasn't sitting by me anymore. So win-win. To my dad, and the boy got moved.
Definitely those stories always gave me like the confidence when you guys tell us like stand up for yourself. You can always use your parents as a reason if you're uncomfortable or need to get out of something, like it's okay. And I feel like it was just that helped my confidence going through school, is like knowing I had someone to back me up if like I needed that backup, which happened.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was actually just talking to a couple of friends, not at the same time, but they both have kids. They both have little girls, and they were talking about how like their little girls were being bullied in different instances, like one at daycare and one just when she was out on the playground. And I was thinking, and I was like, what did my parents even do to help us like not get bullied? I mean, I got bullied, but it was like I never felt bullied. Like I never felt scared or less than. And so I'm just like, what did you do to us to give us all of this, like,
I'm sure
inner
Dad
strength?
taught you all the stare.
That's when we perfected our RBF, Teddy.
I mean, it also helps that we had siblings and we would always mess around with each other all the time. And if you were terrified of your sibling, then would be a bad situation. So I think that helps that we kind of knew how to stand up for ourselves, and we also knew that mom and dad had our backs.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say too, I mean, most of the stuff that happened at school is like, I get this at home all the time. My older siblings wrestle me into the couch and just pick me up and slam me down into the couch all the time. So what can you do to me? Nothing. It's all out of love, and I enjoyed
You
it.
think you can hurt me?
Yeah.
I have 6 other siblings.
Exactly.
I think you were like, yes, I'm getting attention from my older sibling.
But I mean, also too, Mom, you worked at the school my entire time being there. So you were there because there were so many of us plus our cousins. I mean, everybody knew the last name. Everybody knew who we were. So I think I'm assuming we also probably were watched a little bit more closely too, to make sure that nothing happened. But like you guys were saying, I mean, there was also just that confidence of Mom and Dad want us to stand up for ourselves, and you guys always told us, give, you know, the 3 warnings, and if they swing at you again, or if anything happens again, then you have every right to stop it. And I remember you telling us, if they're swinging at you and you give them 3 warnings, hit them so hard that they get knocked down and they don't stand back up, not in like a death kind of way, but
Wait, are you sure that's what I said? Are you sure that wasn't
yeah.
your grandpa who told you? I just can't picture myself saying something like that.
Absolutely. No, you would tell us, like, make
No,
sure.
that is the way that I was raised. My dad definitely taught us to stand up for ourselves, not in a mean way. He wanted us to be kind and good and respectful. We were definitely raised that way, but he also didn't want us to, you know, be bullied or think that we were less than somebody else or anything like that. So that's how I tried to raise you guys, is be kind and good and respectful, but that doesn't mean you have to let them stomp all over you either.
Right.
Did you ever have to, with like your older kids, like talk to them about that kind of thing, where they were in a position where you needed to teach them how to stand up for themselves?
So, you know, your oldest brother being the first one to go out into the world as a sweet little kindergartner, and also being the oldest child and being raised in a kind, mostly kind, hopefully, family and treated well, goes to school and comes home one day and just says, Mommy, people are not nice, or kids are not nice. Oh, and it just breaks your heart, because now you know, okay, now I have to start teaching him about the real world. Not that he didn't have contact with other kids before then, because absolutely he did. He, you know, between church and preschool. But then, you know, you get into elementary school and not all kids are raised like you are. And he just said, kids are not nice. And so then, yes, then we started, you know, talking to them and all of you. You got to be nice and you have to be kind, but yes, a lot of kids are not going to be nice, and you just need to try and stay away from them, basically. And then we would just take each situation as it came and try and do the best that we could with each situation, as you guys had situations growing up. Yeah.
Yep. I distinctly remember coming home from school after I'd gotten into a fight, and Mom like high-fived me off the bus. And I was so
And Teddy
confused.
had all the confidence from there on out. She's like, be good.
Okay, well, okay. But it's not because you picked the fight.
Mom said, did you win?
Did you win? No.
Teddy defended a friend, and
Yes,
it
you were
escalated.
defending this very tiny little girl from this bigger boy. You were all the same grade, but he was bigger and he was pushing her down, and you punched him. But they saw you, they didn't see him, because you told him to stop and he wouldn't.
He punched me first. He did punch me first. He did.
Okay.
He did do the first swing, and
Exactly.
then I punched back. But,
Right.
yeah.
So they saw you, and I know that, you know, being from the family that you are, the teacher was a little shocked. And so and then we had to go to the principal, and the principal said, well, you know, we're going to have to suspend her, after we explained the whole story. And I said, fine, go ahead and suspend her. I will take her shopping. We will go have ice cream, because she not only defended herself, she defended another little girl. And I don't think that was a bad thing. And the principal said, okay, no, we won't suspend her. But she needs to understand. And I said, as long as the other little boy understands also. Are you going to talk to his parents? Well, no, we haven't called them. Okay.
Wait, all of that went down in first grade? That's wild.
Yes, it did.
The way that I remembered it was very, very from like a 6-year-old perspective. And yeah, the boy who I had gotten into a fight with, we were both totally fine.
Yeah.
And we're still friends to this day. Like,
Yeah.
It's just yeah, it was a funny situation. I just had watched too many like movies at that point and went up and was like, pick up Simon your own size. And like,
Yeah.
and it got out of hand and
Too much Arthur.
Yeah, that's probably true. Anyway, like I said, we always tried to teach you all to be kind and respectful, but that, I I discovered that I was a mama bear pretty early on, which I never thought I would be that, but I was.
Yeah, it was funny. I'd always be like, oh, mom is too nice and she just lets people get away with things. But then when you see her in mama bear mode, I'm just like, go, go, go. And I'm like, better watch out.
A situation like that too, where I had somebody who bullied me for a good majority of my life, and then this person crossed a line and mom approached them, and I was like, I'm not even mad, but you go, mom, you go.
Well, I always thought that, it would be good if you could try and solve your own troubles and problems, because it's just good to learn to do that also on your own. But then there came times when, mom needed to step in and just smooth things over, and everything seemed to work out okay then. Honestly, I am like that with
It got escalated to the boss at that point.
yes. I am also that way with our subcontractors. I definitely will have their back as well, unless I know that there's something that they really are doing wrong. But otherwise, yeah, I will defend them too.
our mom is also a mom boss.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about your business that you co-own / run.
So it's interesting because, all through you guys growing up, my greatest love and passion was doing whatever my kids were doing, or being there for them and just being involved in whatever they're involved in. Not to the point of being overly involved or protective, I hope. But I was just most interested in what you guys always did. And so then I thought, once you're grown up, what do I do then? Of course, Dad and I were always like, we'll travel and we'll go here and we'll go there, which is something that we still get the opportunity to do because you guys all live so far away. But anyway, so
You're welcome.
so I had the opportunity. My good friend just approached me one day about starting up this business. I suppose I could explain it. Do I explain it? So for people who don't know, because this is how I always explain it. It's delivering mail, but there are 3 different ways. You've got your city carriers, and you'll see them dressed in their USPS uniforms and their trucks. You have your rural carriers. Sometimes they're driving USPS trucks, sometimes it's their own. And then you have your highway contractors. And highway contractors, which is what I am. So we drive our own vehicles. We wear our regular clothes, and but what we do is when highway contractors usually take the far away delivery contracts. A contract will come up for bid. We figure out how to bid on it, if we're going to include a car, gas, and all of that, but we have to cover all the expenses and everything. And then we also either run it ourselves, or we have to hire other people to run it, which we call our subcontractors. And so anyway, my friend came to me and said, hey, let's do this. I was babysitting her children while she was delivering mail. The contract came up for bid. She said, how about this? So then I was like, how about you let me deliver sometimes? You can be home with your kids. And that's how we got involved in it. And it grew really fast. We have 9 contracts, and it's cool. It's interesting. And so we have close to 15 subcontractors then that we also, manage. So part of managing the business and sometimes actually delivering different routes. But it's been interesting, not the direction I thought my life would go at this age, but I'm good with it. So yeah.
Yeah, it's such a great example of, your life changing and people are afraid of like career change or starting a career or changing stuff like that. But you're such a good example of that. And the things that you did with us as kids all helped you, obviously like driving kids to all the
absolutely.
places like Prime or these highway contracts, but also just like the different things that you did being part of our clubs and part of like coaching and stuff and all the things. Your mom resume is insane. And the fact that you got to make money out of it now is really the coolest thing. And I love telling people like, don't be scared. My mom started a business after all her kids left the house, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and definitely everything that I did and was involved in gave me the confidence to be able to do it. Plus, I have watched all of my children go off and do their best to make their dreams come true and all that. And so I'm like, well, if they could do it, I mean, I could probably do this. And yeah, I've never been afraid of driving. I love to drive and do that. And so this takes a lot of driving sometimes. I can drive almost any kind of vehicle. It doesn't worry me. Not, big.
But you prefer your big vehicles.
I do. We picked up Excursion yesterday and we've been driving it around. Yay!
Ooh.
Well, I do I mean, the only reason that all 7 of your children are able to go out and just like achieve our dreams basically is because of the support that we had. I know we've talked about this previously on the podcast with Dad, but it is something that we are truly, truly blessed, and I am so incredibly grateful for, is that you guys were so good at any time that we had a new interest of being like, okay, sure, let's try it out. Let's see how it goes. Let's figure out, if this is right for you. And then we would sometimes just as quickly be like, I don't want to do it anymore. You'd be like, okay, cool. What now? And there was just always something that we were doing. I actually was asked really recently by one of my friends, because we were talking about music, and she was like, did you grow up in a home where music was big? Like, were you guys really that was something that was just really big in your house? And I was like, well, yeah, it was. We all sang, we all, played instruments or whatever, this and that. And then I was actually telling her about how when you were growing up, Mom, you played violin, you played the cello, like you also were just very musically talented. And it blows my mind how there's so many things that you did and still do and are still like I have a video of you just like picking up this cello and just like trying to play it. And you did. And I'm like, I don't know how long it's been since you played the cello, but the fact that
I could only get out Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
That's impressive.
Very impressive.
House plants. I mean, your talent is it's insane. It's crazy.
Mom's also the hands down reason why we could get to college and pay for college, because with 7 children, and like obviously you guys didn't have college funds to get all of us through college, but Mom figured out how to pay for it, how to get us scholarships, and she definitely led the way on that. Like, we're like, we want to go to college, but we don't know how. It's like, I'm gonna make sure you guys go to college, and she figured it out, and
that's what you want to do. It's gonna happen. Absolutely.
Well, I saw, other families. I mean, Dad graduated from college. I went 2 years of college. Honestly, school was not my favorite thing. So, which is why I had other things on the side, music or sports or whatever. I always said that's what got me through school. I didn't do awful, but it wasn't my favorite. Anyway, but I saw all these families with children having the opportunity to go to college, and I thought there has to be a way. We don't have money, but I have very intelligent children, and I know that they will do well. And you all had things that you wanted to achieve, and so I was like, I'm gonna do what I can. And so I started asking around, and how do you do this, and how do you do that, and getting information, gathering everything that I could, just to try and help you all get to college if you wanted to go, because then there was that also. I mean, I wanted you to have the opportunity to choose. So if you were interested in going to college right away, or, you know, a couple of you didn't go right away, you built, you know, just you worked, but
Or
you
went for
always
a
had
single
jobs.
day, went for a single day and then dropped out.
Yes, that's one of the stories that I tell people often when they're like, I don't know what to do with my child. I don't think they want to go to college. They don't know what they want to do, or blah, blah. And I said, well, let me tell you a couple of stories. So, yes.
Mom's like, I have 7 examples of
Yes,
how
I
to do it.
do. And so, you know, just encouraging people, just encourage your children to choose something, but it doesn't always have to be all the same thing. None of you went to the same college.
Except for Dallas
Yes.
did go to BYU.
He did go to a semester at BYU. And so
And that was the only time.
Daniel went to BYU. So he and Daniel.
That was
But-
the first
But
time
that's not good.
any of us had
Right.
gone to the same place.
Right, exactly. So my second child and my last child went to the same one. But then all of you went to different ones. You all had different interests. We had, you know, Robbie went to technical school because that's what he wanted to do. And Daniel took it all the way through. All of you have gotten degrees. Dallas is working on his. So 6 of you with degrees, and Dallas is working on his. And you guys have done amazing, but you've also pushed yourselves. So we gave you the opportunity, but then it took you guys pushing yourselves. And so you all have pushed yourselves. So you all have been a great example to me too, because children can be example to their parents as well and what can be achieved.
Well, I know I personally have needed to call a million times and be like, I'm going to drop out. I can't do this. I hate this. I'm going to fail. And every time I call back later and I'm like, yeah, I got an A.
Got it in. Or
That's
like,
so funny. I called
Yeah.
mom for permission to ditch class in college.
goodness. I was like, Teddy, are you getting an A in the class? Yes. Is this going to make your grade drop? No. Is there any reason why you have to be, like a test or anything? No. Then ditch class and go to the beach. You're in college.
Mom's like, nerd.
No, I would never say that.
You called me an egghead.
Okay, well, that's different than
Is it though?
maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, we called mom for very different reasons during college.
Yes. which was all good.
Daniel called mom because he was
He was
cold.
cold.
The same beanie he wore the day beforehand.
It's different when you grow up in, you know, someplace that's warm versus someplace that's cold. Even if the sun is out, it's still cold. Yes, it is, can be cold. But the sun
Doesn't make any sense.
So I grew up with a lot of change because we moved a lot. And, you know, I have 3 siblings, 2 brothers and a sister. My sister and I are just 18 months apart. I'm the older one. But so we were very close growing up because we moved a lot. I mean, I went to so many different schools, and people have asked me, oh, was your dad military? No, he just didn't like to sit still. That's the only thing I can come up with, really. Because, you know, as a kid, you don't say, why? And if they answer, you don't understand anyway. So constant change. And so I guess it wasn't scary to me at all for change to happen. And so, you know, getting married, going straight from my parents' house, I was 19, got married, moved a couple thousand miles away, didn't know anybody or have any friends here, but I had my husband. And so I was excited for the change. And yeah, you can ask your dad, because I mean, we probably lived in the house for a year, and I'm like, are we going to move yet? Are we moving yet? And he's like, why? Well, isn't that what we're supposed to do? He's like,
Where?
no.
What?
Yeah, why? Anyway, so we didn't change houses a lot or towns or anything like that. But that's why I changed the living room around all the time, or change the bedrooms around, or change it. Just like change was just in me. So I needed, that change. And so to have my children grow up and move and change and do all this stuff it's okay. It's okay. It's not scary to me. I mean, not that I don't worry or wish that we all lived closer together. Of course I do. But at the same time, I understand that has to happen for you guys to grow in the paths that you're supposed to take.
Which is nice that is supportive, because a lot of people that I grew up with, their parents or them as kids are like, I could never be far away from my family, or, whatever. I could never have my kid. If my kids move, then I'm moving, that kind of thing. And for you, it's like, I mean, yeah, like I'm going to miss you and I want you to be close, but go where you feel is right. Go where you feel is where you need to be. And that's always been really nice too. Yeah, I think it's probably because we know that you're there that we're like, it's okay for us to leave. Like, you're still there. You're still going to be there. So it's fine.
No, even if you were to move, that would be fine. We just know that, like, we know that wherever you are, we can come to. So if we need to, so that's
exactly, always.
And some of us have on several occasions. So yeah.
Yep.
So it's been nice.
Which is always fun.
Yeah.
It is.
So Mom, what do you think your favorite and least favorite part of motherhood has been?
Child. Which one's your favorite?
Not falling for the child thing.
You've seen the full spectrum of personalities.
The full spectrum of personalities.
Yes.
Every single one at the same exact time.
Except for, just within the parameters of psychotic, and I don't know what the other element is, but yeah.
Well, I would say my favorite part then about that is that I have my own bedroom, so I could just go to my bedroom away from all of it.
Nobody's going to say Mom for the next hour.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
I love being mom. Didn't really expect, I don't know what I expected when I first became mom, but I do remember as I would hold each of my babies, just falling so much in love. It's automatic. It's immediate and automatic. As soon as you hold that baby, you're in love and you want the best for that baby in all ways. I think, and so I loved every stage of being mom. Yes, there are hard times, and yes, I wasn't always the calmest or kindest. I have a temper, I will admit it, and I like to fight back too. So that's how that happened. I mean, that's how we say Daniel became a lawyer, is because I taught him how to argue. So, there's that part.
I wonder what Dad has to say about that. That's so funny.
Oh, Dad would tell me all the time when your brother and I would be going back and forth on something. He would tell me to stop, and I'm just like, no, I'm the mom.
Why do I have to stop?
I have to stop. I'm sure he thought Daniel was making more sense because, yes, I could be more emotional. I will admit to that as well. But the heartbreak is the hardest part of being a mom. The heartbreak when you see your children go through something that is breaking their heart, and it breaks your heart. And I don't like that. And I have 7 different personalities who have gone through different kinds of heartbreak, and you go through every single one of them with them. And that's probably the hardest thing. But otherwise, I really did enjoy everything. I loved
a favorite stage, least favorite stage.
I think because I got so much joy out of watching my kids, probably sometimes joy when they didn't think it should have been joy or happy or laughing. I really did love the babies. I loved the brand new, innocent, just sweet, sweet babies. And yes, I was a very busy mom, but I can tell you, as I had more babies and that baby would wake up in the middle of the night and I was with that baby. I loved it because that was my time with just baby. All the other kids were asleep. And so it was just me and baby. And that happens when you have a lot of children. So, my last few babies, I really learned to enjoy that time with them. And I will admit, my least favorite was probably as soon as baby could start crawling and walking and they're hanging on your leg. And it's just like, I can't move and get anything done. But now they have all the, front carry things and wraps and stuff. You can actually just carry the baby around and do stuff. At the time, it was just on your hip. Luckily, I was blessed with good, healthy, strong hips, so I could carry you on my hips.
So remind us, how many of your kids, their first word was mom, and how many their first word was dad?
Oh, Dad would probably remember better than
I know the answer.
What's the answer?
I was the first one to say mom. And then Dallas did too, so it's only two of us.
Oh, that's true. I think you're right, which probably really irked me at the time because, I'm like, that's really not fair. I'm the one doing everything for you, and yet you say dad first. No, it was also very sweet, you had to get dad on your side too, even though he always. But yeah, we always joke because I was so busy and going so much when Dallas was a baby that his first words were bye, mom. Bye, mom. Bye, mom. Poor thing. But luckily he had older sisters that stepped in to be mom when I couldn't be there. So yeah.
Did you ever experience like that mom guilt ever?
Oh yeah. I don't understand if any moms never experience it. I don't know how. But yeah, there's always mom guilt.
How do you cope with that then?
Talk it out. I would talk it out with dad, and he'd be like, "It's okay. I understand. You're just trying to do what's right for them." And yeah, probably just hold it inside for a little while and think you're the worst mom ever, and then be like, okay, we can get through it. The child still loves me, so.
That's so funny because I don't think I can ever think of a time where I could tell that you had mom guilt. So that's definitely something that you didn't put on anybody. And I mean, it felt pretty rare when I, as a child, if I was upset, like if I didn't have your whole attention, honestly, pretty rare. I mean, 'cause you knew, you were just used to it. You knew, like you understood.
Yeah, I mean, you try. I know a lot of people say, "How did you do it? How did you do it?" And you just have to. It's just, it can be exhausting, but at the same time, like I said, I just loved it, and it was just paying attention to everybody and what they need. Not that anybody can really be 100% at it. I don't think so, because we also, I'm human also besides just being mom, so I get caught up in my own stuff sometimes too, and then you just you bring yourself back around to okay, get over yourself and get back into their lives as well, and what.
Yeah, we were gotten at sports practices and
okay.
I mean, it's funny because it's probably like I want more of your attention now. I'm just like, why is she busy now? Like, I need her attention now.
What are you doing? You're not sitting on your attention
more these days.
Yeah. Well, it is kind of funny because sometimes when you guys call, and I still get that. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I can't answer the phone right now. And the cool thing is having the cell phones, and I can just send you a text real quick. I'm sorry, I'm doing this. I can't answer the phone right now. I'll call you later, or can we talk later, or something like that. So that's nice because I do like to talk to my children and catch up with them and see how things are going. But there are some times that I am doing other things. I have to.
Yeah, Tara, so back off.
You want to fight? You want to fight over this? You back off first.
Sarah said, "I'm older. I was here first."
Do you ever
I am the
feel
OG mini mom.
like, with the heartbreak stuff, because you went through the pregnancy and birthing process 7 times. Do you ever feel like we're just your 7 little horcruxes splitting you apart?
Predators.
Probably. That's actually a pretty good way to.
Lord Voldemort.
That's a pretty good way to explain it, though. I think you're not
Wow.
wrong.
I see how you view me, Teddy. Okay.
She got to kill us off first before she dies.
Yes, you all should do what I say because I birthed you and gave you life. And sometimes it was not easy. Much pain. And others it wasn't so bad. But yeah. No.
You're welcome.
I think that it is, oh yeah, Tara, party from the time you were born. That's why you like the party, I'm pretty sure, because your birth was a party. Anyway, oh gosh, it just went out of my head. Oh yeah, I think as a mother, and I think also this is something that as moms we have to be careful with, because it is a real thing that because I birthed you and I raised you and I put so much time and energy into you, as you become an adult, I still have some right to tell you how you should live your life and how you should do that, right? No.
Kindly, no.
Nope.
No. And I think that unfortunately for the oldest ones, they get to experience that at first until moms realize, oh wait, hold on, I did the same thing to my parents. And yes, at the time I loved the thought of agency, and then as my children become adults and now they have agency, I don't think I like it so much. I think that there should be no, I think that that's what we have to come to know, is that you are adults and you do also have your agency. And something that I have been thinking about a lot lately is, they say with age comes wisdom. And I think, well, that really bites, because, age comes wisdom, but nobody wants to listen to you. So what's the point? What's the point of being wise and learning all this stuff? They don't want to listen anyway. So of course I think back to, as I became an adult and I was getting married and having children and that, and how much I did not want to listen to my parents either. And so what goes around comes around. That's all I can say.
It's a cycle.
But I do also remember Tara saying to me one time, wouldn't you just like to choose who we marry, and you can just choose and tell us this is who you're going to marry? And I said, oh, heck no, I do not want that responsibility. And Tara was like, what? I said, no, that's too much of a responsibility. What if I choose wrong? That's not, oh, your dad would love it, but no, I don't want it.
Dad would be like, I would never choose wrong.
True.
It's interesting growing up, because I do remember, mom had this idea of how a daughter should be. And as much as I am glad everything that you told me of what you expect, it also not everything was something I could do. And the pushback when I'd be like, no. And you'd be like, well, that's how a lady should be. That's how girls should be. And I'd be like, sounds like I don't want to be that way. And it took, I remember there were plenty of situations where that happened, but we either came to a compromise, or you were just more understanding of us being our own people, and we weren't always going to do that. And so I always appreciated your open-mindedness to going with the flow that way. Obviously, if there's something that you were adamant about or really believed in, we could see that, and we do our best not to shush it off or whatever. But yeah, I always appreciated that about having you as my mom, is how much you you saw me as a person and you were able to let me grow while doing your best trying to guide me on what you think I should do just as a woman in general to be the most successful, but also allowed me to have those variations and stuff.
To
And
do it
yeah,
in
I
your
think
way.
I remember that was a big fight I felt like I had sometimes with you, as I was like, no, that sounds terrible. And you're like, but that's how ladies are supposed to be. And I was like, but I don't want to be a lady.
which probably took me back to my younger years. That was something I think I always tried to remember how I felt at the age of whatever age you guys would be when you were really struggling with, doing certain things. And so I would try and remember, how did I feel when I was a child? How did I feel when I was a teenager? How, what was I thinking or doing? I mean, we grew up on a lot of different farms or ranches also. So we did chores, and the girls we did the chores just like our brothers did. I mean, I hauled hay, I hauled buckets of water, I drove tractors, but we also had to learn how to wash the dishes and do the laundry, clean the house, and on Sundays, put on a dress and be a lady. I mean, it was very important to my dad that, yes, we could do all of this, but don't forget to be a lady when you're supposed to be a lady. And yeah, I was the same way, because I was just like, oh, I have to put on a dress. Why do I have to wear dresses? The guys don't have to wear dresses. And why do I have to wear these slacks rather than jeans? The jeans look more comfortable. And it drove my mom crazy too. She didn't like it either. And so because I would rather be outside climbing trees, jumping off the haystacks, doing all that kind of stuff. But, I had to also learn to be a lady. And so I remember one time we were moving and got home from school, and Mom had packed away all my clothes, and I was actually going to spend the night at a friend's house that night before we were leaving the next day, and we were moving far away, so it was the last time I was going to see her. And I knew how this worked, even though you say, we'll stay in touch. It doesn't happen. So I didn't have any clothes to wear, and of course I was, a bratty preteen, and I don't have any clothes. You packed all my clothes. And she was like, well, just go to your brother's drawers. It's not packed, and get yourself a pair of jeans. And so I went, and at the time he had 501 button fly jeans. And so I put on a pair of 501 button fly jeans and never went back. So when Mom would say, why don't you wear slacks? I'm like, this was your fault. You made me try. You made me put them on that time. So yeah, that was my thing. But at the same time, then you put the dress on Sunday and do your hair and be a lady and act that way. And so I was afraid to have girls. I had 2 boys. It was great. Had boys. And then we had the girl. And I was like, oh my goodness, I do not know how to raise a girl. And your dad was like, well, I do. No, I'm just kidding. He didn't say that. And then our Heavenly Father, who we love very much, wanted to make sure that I knew how to raise girls. So he blessed me with 4 in a row.
And then double blessed you with the son at the end of that.
And then blessed me. What do I say? And you guys know I love you all, and I love the time that we have. I just love with you guys being adults and everything that we can do together. It's just so much fun. My girls are my friends now, and that's the cool part of it. That's what, it does come around. It is wonderful. But I do say that then I was blessed with a boy, which I was blessed with some sanity.
Hey, we didn't want a number 5 girl either. So we
I know. Tara's like, it better be a girl. Like, oh.
Yeah, like if it's a girl, we're putting her up for adoption. No more girls. Yeah, we were running on the low insanity level at that point.
Connie just barely eked in there.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Hey, Dallas, move!"
No, it truly is the best having 4 girls in a row. Like it's the best way to go.
It's an adventure.
It's an adventure. Yep.
adventure. And we all like adventures, so it's a good adventure.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know that you and I have talked about this, Mom, how at some point most of us girls have called you and been like, I know that I complained about it as a child, having to, boys' chores, having to go outside and mow the lawn or pull weeds or move wood from one side of the yard to the other for no apparent reason, and just do all this like heavy lifting stuff. But I appreciate that I was taught that I can do those things, because there have been definitely multiple times in my life where I'm like, I need to mow the lawn because there's nobody else here to do it, or I need to go build this thing because it needs to happen and I just need some like muscle here. And knowing that like I can do that because I did do it, and you were, I've talked to you about this and you've been like, yeah, interesting, because you're not the first person that's called me up and been like, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you for teaching me full life skills.
Yeah, it's true. I think that's why parents worry. They always worry. It's not something that ever goes away. But at the same time, I have full confidence in my children and my daughters, especially, that they can do these things, because I know how they were raised, and I know they were raised with these things. And then you do what you choose from there on out. But you can choose because you have been taught. And yeah. And that's how I was taught as well. I was taught. So, I mean, one time, when your older brothers were little and we were living in this smaller house, and it had a yard and it had washer but no dryer. And so I had washed the clothes, and then the grass needed to be mowed and the clothes needed to be hung out. And so I was mowing the grass and your dad was hanging the clothes out, and the neighbors were driving by and they stopped and they just looked at us and they said, that seems off.
It's like Aristocats where the cat or the mouse is chasing the cat.
Yeah, exactly. And then they just laughed and drove on. And but that was the thing, Dad and I were both really good about, yeah, I'll do that. I don't mind doing that. I'd rather do that. I'd rather mow the grass. And he was okay with hanging the clothes out.
So you also were raised us with the work hard, play hard attitude.
Mm-hmm. Very much
Talk a
so.
little bit about how you're raised with that and what that means or meant.
So my dad definitely liked to play, and but he also knew the value of working hard. He grew up with that as well, and so especially like on Saturdays, everybody's home, and we would get up, and Dad would usually either he had something for us to do or somebody needed something done, whether it was building a fence or working on their yard or whatever it was. We had a lot of different things that we would do, moving hay. And so Dad would be like, okay, we're just, we're going to go do this until about noon. We'll come home, have lunch, maybe take a little break, and then we'll play. And Dad had all kinds of different play. He loved to swim. If we had access to a swimming pool in the summer, we were swimming. We would even go to the lake or in the canal, and we would swim because Dad loved to swim. But if we didn't have that, we would go out and have a family football game, or we would have a family baseball game, or we would go to movies. It didn't always have to be, that we were playing something, but I think he knew the importance of us being active. And we all grew up in sports as well. We all played sports too. And Dad was, our biggest coach. He didn't coach our teams, but he coached us at home all the time, especially if he saw us do something wrong when we were playing sports. Let's do this, let's do that. So I really did grow up with, oh, goodness gracious. If you know the game Spoons, we had the most wild game of Spoons. Mom would put away all her breakable dishes before we started playing Spoons. And we had wrestling matches in the living room all the time. And Mom would get out the yardstick to smack us if we got out of control. But which was Mom's part of playing. She enjoyed that.
Referee.
Yes. anyway, so then that's how I grew up. And so I just, automatically thought that's how it should be. And so we had our times of work, but we also had our times of play. And I loved to take you guys to same thing. I wanted you all to enjoy the water and swim. And so we would go swimming when we had access to a pool or anywhere else. And we learned to travel together. I would have games for you while we traveled. And
Probably our most wild time.
but yeah, it was important for
traveling. The games we would play while we traveled in the car. Wild. Like we were such busybodies.
Yeah.
In the car. It was
Yes. Yeah, that's true. But I mean, it made it so you guys didn't hate going on long trips either when we would go to visit family or whatever it was where we were going. But I think I definitely learned that balance growing up, that there has to be work, but there has to be play. And I think it makes a close family. And I can definitely credit my dad for that. But and of course, Mom was perfectly willing to let Dad take us away to go play somewhere because Mom loved her quiet time as well. And so it was cool. It was good.
Thank you so much, Mom. This has been very, very cute and enlightening. And I definitely can say that we were blessed with the best mother ever. So,
well, I was blessed.
Sorry for everyone else.
I was blessed with wonderful children. So we're.
Oh, but I didn't hear you say the best children ever.
Well, the best children ever, of course. They were
the best children ever, Donnie. That's really being generous.
I think you average us out, we reach a best child status. So
we are entertaining, if anything.
Well, I appreciate the fact that there are hard times, but there are good times, and that we can come together and laugh and enjoy as a family, and that's the point of it all. But thank you. I hope that wasn't boring.
Never. I actually have a couple of fun facts to go over with you guys, since in honor of Mother's Day, different fun facts of mothers in nature. So, fun fact, newborn orcas, also known as killer whales, don't sleep for a month after birth. Calves don't sleep for the first calves don't sleep for the first months of their lives, so mothers go without sleep too.
Oh, those poor moms.
No wonder they're angry.
No wonder
they're
killer
whales.
Yeah.
It's the children that drive them to their insanity.
Yeah.
That tracks.
Cuckoo birds. So mama cuckoos will sneakily lay their eggs in another bird's nest, tricking the other bird into taking on the burden of raising the chick.
Wait, why are they called
Harder, not harder.
Exactly. Why are they called cuckoo birds then? Why is that a bad thing?
Because they make others cuckoo. She said, not my problem. That's a heavy lifting.
And then elephant mothers are fiercely nurturing and protective. They nurse their calves for 2 to 3 years, teaching them how to stand, swim, find food, and protect themselves. Elephants also live in a matriarchal society where all the females help the baby elephant learn to nurse, give it affection, and even babysit.
That's so cute.
Well, there you have it. From now on, if I don't lose weight, I'm just going to say it's because I'm an elephant mom. I teach him everything. I'm fiercely nurturing.
I'm a mom for life.
To make another mom. So
You have, because of your sons, been blessed to be graduated into the grandma status. So
Yes.
at least they did something. No, I'm just kidding. We love our brother.
Grandma is the best. I love being grandma. So, but I loved being mom, and I just loved being grandma. It's very fun because I don't have to be mom. I can just be grandma.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I love being auntie for sure. Auntie's great.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
I feel like I graduated from sister to auntie, so it's like everything I couldn't get away with before, get to now.
Well, beautiful. Thanks so much. This has been a lot of fun, and we love you. This has been another episode of Wild&T. Don't forget to all the mothers out there, if you just stick it out for the next 2 decades, you'll graduate to grandma's status.
Hang in there.
Love you.
all.
Bye.
Love you,
you.
Mom.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Wild&T. This podcast episode was produced and edited by Teddy Chanboon, Kyron Maciel, and Dallas Hanson. Remember to subscribe, rate, review, and of course, share with your sisters. For more content, you can follow Wild&T on all platforms or our individual socials. See you next week.